Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 230 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This episode is for the week of March 20th. My name is Tim Beeman, and I am opening the recipe trunk. We are recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Such and Such Media Studios at Liberty Plaza. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or Spotify, or others like that, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like, a follow, and a rating. This would help me tremendously. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. You need to go by and have what I have called my favorite sandwich in town, the Cubano. It is, if that's not your thing, then try the ceviche or pork belly appetizers and try their grilled fried chicken. Have the congri, which is yellow rice and beans with pork belly. All delicious stuff. Mojito Latin Soul Food does reservations, takeout, and they have a rather large outdoor patio, which is probably on the verge of being open since the weather is going to start getting nice, even though it's not this week. And they do deliveries to surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch, Wise Man, and others. Tre Nonné, the Italian eatery over on Jonestown Road, has closed their doors for good. The owners, Tony and Alice Maresca, along with Tony's sister, Debbie Maresca, had gone through many health issues in the last little bit, and it became too much for them. They had been around since 2016, and they said it was a good ride, but they just needed to step away. The location isn't going empty, though. Eric and Jessica Baleska, who own the Vida food truck, are going to bring their Latin-infused goodness to that location. And it's still going to be called Vida Latin Street Grill. The truck has been popular around here for a few years now. Vida will have arepas, empanadas, jibarritos, which are plantain sandwiches, and rice and fry bowls expanded upon from their truck. So it's going to be a little bit more than what the truck could handle because they'll actually have room to do stuff. The restaurant will initially be open for lunch and dinner Wednesday through Sunday, and they will have beer and cocktails and things. The truck will continue to operate, but for now it looks like that will be reserved for larger festivals and events. I look forward to trying it with Street Team Steve. I know that's coming soon. Hey, speaking of Steve, he and I went to the K-Stop restaurant 2 weeks ago, right after I recorded the last episode of this podcast. We tried two different wing sauces, the 127, which I've looked up and I've Googled for what that is, and I can't figure out why it's called 127, but it's a honey soy garlic sauce. Then we had the Bumbaya sauce, and it is a spicy honey soy garlic sauce. Both of those wing sauces and the wings they were on were very, very good. We also had a Korean egg toast with Spam. The bread is milk toast, which is light and fluffy, toasted lightly, thankfully, because I don't like hard bread, with Korean-style eggs, which means they also are light and fluffy, and your choice of protein, and we went with Spam because, well, we could. That was also very good. Then we tried the potato dog. That is half and half, which means half beef and half mozzarella, a corn dog, basically, with potato covering and drizzled with a garlic sauce, I believe. That was okay. Certainly not our favorite. We also tried the all-beef hot Cheeto K-Dog, which was crushed hot Cheetos all over the dog with a spicy sauce. That was better than the potato one for me, but still not better than the wings or egg toast. The last thing we had was snow fries. Basically, these are fries covered with a powdery white American cheese The flavor was good, but the fries were wilty and soggy. So I liked how the snow cheese melted in my mouth, but it wasn't very good on top of those fries. If they were crispier and warmer, they probably would have been great. Overall, Steve and I were really excited about the wings and egg toast. I think we could both recommend it, especially if you like Asian-infused or influenced food. Be prepared to have K-pop blaring quite loudly, too. Yes, I am old. My wife, Stephanie, you guys remember Stephanie, right? And I went to Zito's this weekend. They have a new menu. It's a little hard to read in small print, but the offerings look fantastic. I didn't see our favorite poutine on the menu, but asked about it, and Victoria said she had the ingredients and we could still have it. It's the 3 cheese, if you're wondering. We each had our usual from there. Stephanie had the Canadiana pizza with pepperoni, mushrooms, and green onions. Mine was the carnivore, of course, with pepperoni, ham, gyro meat, bacon, and sausage with extra cheese. Victoria, I have to say, is kicking ass over at Zito's, and if you haven't been there or haven't been there in a while, you really need to go back and give them a try. There was a lot of people coming in and out that night. That was really good to see. The Go-To Winston-Salem and the new Go-To Greensboro is creating, along with their fantastic staff, great content, and is, in my opinion, the place to find your food news when I can't get it to you fast enough. The Go-To Winston-Salem.com, and over all the social medias, follow Christy and her crew today. The Go-To Winston-Salem. Diamondback Grill is casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It is fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers, and the ambiance is always amazing. I sent several colleagues to Diamondback for their company dinners, meetings, and family outings. They really are that awesome. They are located at 751 Avalon Road. You can find them online at diamondbackgrill.com, Facebook, and Instagram. To make reservations, call 336-722-0006. And, of course, tell them that I sent you. And news on Diamondback, well, not really new information. They just announced this last month. But I'm announcing it to you now, that they would have a new location downtown. It will serve lunch, whereas the original location only serves dinner. There will be soups, salads, sandwiches. They will have to-go and take-home items like quarts of soup and chicken salad. The new location will be in the Biotech Building in Innovation Quarter. I'm excited for Murph and Kimberly and glad that they're expanding. I know that they had a downtown location right across the street from me, and it's still, the sign for it is still up on bulletin signs, you know, where they tell you what businesses are in buildings, but I haven't seen any evidence that they were actually open in there. So I think this will be the new Diamondback downtown location. Claire Calvin's East of Texas is almost open. I think next week is their soft opening. Check out Smitty's notes for more information. Our favorite Snoop, Carroll Leggett, did my job for me. We already knew that Hop's Burger Bar had closed, but the building had been painted over, thus removing the Hop's logo. Carroll wandered about the neighborhood asking anyone who would listen to him, "What's going on?" like Marvin Gaye would say. A few people seemed not to know, but one stock gave him a name, Loop Pizza Grill. Could it be? Well, from there, he called and inquired with Loop Pizza Grill in Thruway Shopping Center. They were able to confirm that they were going to be the new tenants. What he couldn't get from them was whether it would be a Loop Pizza Grill, moving of their current location, or something completely different just from them. Now, I know Loop Restaurants is a chain. I believe they are based out of Florida. There are almost a dozen locations in Florida and a few here in North Carolina. So when I know something, you'll know something. Or should I say, when Carol knows something, we all know something. Applause, Carol. Applause. Okay, we've reached the bitch section of the podcast. Hold on, let me pull out the All right, the soapbox, put it down, step up on it, 1 foot at a time. Our favorite cesspool of vitriol and misinformation, the Winston-Salem Eats Facebook group, had a very honest and appropriate critique of one of my favorite eating places, Mr. Barbecue. Listo Blank, one of the few on there that I actually usually agree with or think he does right on his food blogging thing, asked if anyone had problems with the quality of the chopped barbecue sandwich from Mr. Barbecue. He loved the sandwich, and while it was still good, the quality had seemed to go down a bit. Honest and totally appropriate, I think. But then he said this is not a bash post, nor is this a post to toss out recommendations on your favorite barbecue spot. I'm sure we've seen or heard them all before, so spare us. Thanks. Again, totally appropriate. I guess he needed to be more specific on how, on what he was saying. I don't know what he could have said any better, but apparently some people can't read. 5 posts in, someone who I will not mention their name wrote, I suggest the Real Q, which was Little Richard's Country Club. Same food, but changed names. I grew up eating there. Unless you want to go to Lexington, that's about the best you're going to get, in my humble opinion. First, you didn't follow directions, person. Second, you used one of the most ridiculous phrases ever, in my humble opinion. This is, of course, a pet peeve of mine. If you have to tell me it's your humble opinion, then you are not at all humble. Some people substitute honest in my honest opinion, which indicates that any other time you would have been lying to me. Stop using a qualifier. It can be your opinion. Just say, in my opinion. Why does it have to have a qualifier? Especially honest or humble. Because you are neither if you're using either of those phrases. Now, back to following directions. He already said he didn't want recommendations. He was looking for a conversation about the quality of Mr. Barbecue's barbecue sandwich. One person did actually recommend another place, but as an experiment, and recommended coming back to Mr. Barbecue after a little bit of time to see if it had changed. I don't mind that one. It was constructive, not stupid. But all that wasn't what got my blood pressure up. In the second comment down, someone wrote, I noticed they have a sign posted that says, due to high food costs, there will be a 3.2% fee added for cards, but there won't be for cash. This makes no sense. I hear this quite often. I'm not sure what's not making sense to them. The fact that there isn't a fee if you use cash, or why restaurants do this at all. Several people followed up on how they don't like this. At least one other person said if they were most upset it wasn't posted on a door or a sign or whatever. It is posted on the registers and, as far as I know, on the drive-through menu. Where else would they put them? Another person said they didn't want to, they did want to know what places they do this so they can avoid them. Okay, idiots. Let's break this down. Taking credit cards costs businesses money. They do this as a convenience and as a necessity these days. I talked to Jimmy Karros, the owner of Mr. Barbecue. He said, I've not raised my prices. If I did, I'd have to raise them all across the board over 3.5%. He has to make that up somewhere. The banks and credit card processing people charge money per transaction. So instead of raising all the prices across the board of his offerings, he does it where it hits him immediately, which is credit card transactions. Not all places are doing this, but there are quite a few. So the dingbat who said they would avoid places doing this is going to start missing out on a lot of stuff. More and more places are putting this into effect. Every week a new place does it. And here's the thing, though, Dingbat. Every place is doing it, whether you see it or not, whether they are upfront about it or not. Every place is doing it. It could be right in front of your face. We charge this X amount because of this. I know at least 3 places that charge a convenience charge just because you eat there. It also could be in the form of price increases. So every place is having to adjust to this post-pandemic verge of recession life that we all live together. So keeping on blabbing about stuff you don't know what you're talking about, pontificating on posts that clearly don't want to hear your quivering lips on topics that they specifically said they were not asking about, and they only wanted subject X only, you're just coming off stupid.
Shut your mouth.
I needed someone
Wait,
to
shut your
work
mouth.
with.
Shut your mouth.
I'm sorry? What did
You're
you
just
say?
coming off stupid.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Will Ferrell. Okay, blood pressure. Say a couple of ohms and bring the stuff down. Soapbox back in the corner. I did talk to Jimmy about Listo's concerns, and we're going to address them at Mr. Barbecue in the next couple of weeks. So I got your back, Listos, just so you know. I've already worked that part out. We're going to do it. Food holidays are, I'm going to do them this week, see how they go. They are sponsored by Diamondback Grill that I mentioned earlier, and the new Diamondback downtown, diamondbackgrill.com. That's all you need to know, that and the phone number, which was 336-722-0006. All right, so this is the week of March the 20th. Today is the 20th, and today is the vernal equinox. I almost said the Werner equinox. I know people named Werner. The first day of spring. It's National Bach Beer Day, World Flower Day, which was created by the World Flower Museum in Wittenberg, Germany. And that's flour, F-L-O-U-R, flour, like cooking and baking. And National Ravioli Day. It's also the Great American Meat Out, Eat Vegan for a Day, campaign of farm animal rights movement, and I do not get behind that and do not recommend that. You do you. If that's what you want to do, it's fine. To me, those animals were put here for my pleasure, and that's what I did today for lunch. Actually, I had a chicken Philly from Courtside Cafe. It was very good. I had it in a wrap instead of on bread. Very, very good. Pardon my drinking a beverage. On the 20th in 1602, the Dutch East India Company was established, and the Netherlands granted it a monopoly for trade with Asia. In 1760, a fire in Boston destroyed more than 350 homes, shops, and warehouses, and spread down to the wharves where 10 ships were left in ashes. In 2020, the coronavirus was just getting kicked off. Distilleries switched to making alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Pizza deliveries soar, and Domino's hired 10,000 workers because the deliveries were out of this world. On the 21st, it's French Bread Day and California Strawberry Day, National Vermouth Day, and National Ag Day, ag being agricultural. On the 21st, in 1925, teaching the theory of evolution became illegal in Tennessee, and this year, so did being in drag. Tennessee is so backward, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm from West Virginia, and I'm calling you backward. Yes. The 22nd, it's United Nations World Water Day, National Bavarian Crepes Day, and it's the earliest day on which Easter Sunday may occur, but not this year. In 1630, Boston, Massachusetts enacts the first colonial gambling legislation banning all cards, dice, and gaming tables under pain of punishment. In 1765, Britain enacted the Stamp Act, which imposed a tax on every piece of printed paper used in the American colonies. In 1841, Englishman Orlando Jones patented a method for making cornstarch. In 1933, President Roosevelt, that's Franklin, signed the Cullen-Harrison Act following the manufacture and sale of allowing the manufacture and sale of 3.2% per weight beer. It became effective on April 7th, 1933, in advance of Prohibition's repeal on December 5th, 1933. On the 22nd, 1985, Clara Peller, the Where's the Beef lady in Wendy's burger commercials in 1984, was fired for making a spaghetti sauce commercial for Campbell's Soup Company. Wendy's said that this caused her to lose credibility, and that was stupid. One other thing on this podcast, I'm going to start calling out stupidity because that's what it is. On the 23rd, it's National Chip and Dip Day. Not Chip and Dale, Chip and Dip. National Melba Toast Day. In 1880, on the 23rd, a patent for a glass milk bottle was issued to Warren Glass Works. Also in 1880, John Stevens of Neenah, Wisconsin, was issued a patent for a grain crushing mill, a flour rolling mill, that could increase flour production by up to 70%. In 1896, the New York State legislature passed Raines Law, that's R-A-I-N-E-S law, which restricted the sale of alcohol on Sundays. However, Manhattan hotels with at least 10 rooms were allowed to sell alcohol on Sunday, accompanied by a meal or in hotel rooms. Numerous saloons proceeded to add small furnished rooms and applied for hotel licenses. In 1912, the Dixie Cup was developed by Lawrence Llewellyn and Hugh Moore. Its original name was the Health Cup with a K, and changed to Dixie Cup in 1919. I'm surprised they haven't been forced to change their name yet. In 1923, Cutty Sark Scots Whiskey was created by Berry Brothers and Rudd Wine and Spirit Merchants in Canada. Two things: in 1965, astronaut John Young smuggled a corned beef sandwich aboard the first Gemini space flight, and the International House of Pancakes trademark was registered. In 1981, on the 23rd, the UK banned all animal transport on the Isle of Wight and in southern Hampshire to attempt to contain a new outbreak of foot and mouth disease. Got to lube up, sorry. On the 24th, it's National Cheesecake Day and National Chocolate Covered Raisins Day. I believe they call those goobers if you get the Nestle brand. In 1765, the British Parliament passed the Quartering Act, which required American colonists to provide temporary quarters, food, drink, and so on to British troops stationed in their towns. Okay, in 1914, Stephen F. Whitman registered a trademark for Whitman Samplers, Chocolates, and Confections. Just one of the four cornerstones of capitalism for Valentine's Day, along with De Beers, FTD, and Hallmark. In 1989, the worst oil spill in U.S. history occurred as the Exxon Valdez ran aground in Alaska's Prince William Sound and eventually leaked 11 million gallons of crude oil. The effects on wildlife and fish were devastating. And if you remember, when Ray Morgan was co-host on this show, he stated that he still to this day will not go to Exxon because of the effects and how they handled it. BP had a really bad spill, and they cleaned it up. They did right. Now, I'm going to say that I don't boycott Exxon. I don't like what they did, but also if I can find it cheaper at Exxon, I'm going to go there. Just saying. On the 24th in 1999, a truck carrying flour and margarine caught fire in the Mont Blanc Tunnel. linking France and Italy, killing 39 people. On the 25th, that is, I believe, Saturday, it's Lobster Newburgh Day. Pecan Day, not to be confused with National Pecan Day, which is April 14th. Why is it Pecan Day? Because on this day, on the 25th anyway, in 1775, George Washington planted pecan trees, some of which still survive to this day at Mount Vernon. The trees were supposedly a gift to Washington from Thomas Jefferson. And it's pecan, not pecan, not pecan, is pecans. Actually, you can call it whatever you want. In 1995, on the 25th, Pizza Hut introduced its stuffed crust pizza. On the 26th, it's National Nougat Day, National Spinach Day. And why is it National Spinach Day? In 1937, the cities of Dilley, Texas and Crystal City, Texas each erected a statue of Popeye, the spinach-eating cartoon character. On the 26th, in 2006, a ban on smoking in public places, including restaurants and bars, goes into effect in Scotland. In 2011, Wicked Whoopies, and radio station WMGX teamed up to create a record-breaking 1,067-pound whoopie pie in South Portland, Maine. And I saw a picture of it. It's not as big as you think, nor does it look anywhere like anything you would want to eat, I don't think. That's just my humble opinion. See how stupid that sounds? That's all of the food holidays in history. Thank you to James Ehler at foodreference.com for making us go, or just enlightening us, whatever. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, Fan Interference, Beeswax Vinyl Daily, Wheeler's Dog, Asylum, the Kiss podcast, I Remember Now, the Queensryche podcast, and the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. Wow, that construction outside is annoying. You can find all those podcasts and their latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. Again, tldpodnetwork.com. I've not said this, well, I said it last week, but I haven't been on here enough to say it in a while, but still people emphasize this to me whenever they're talking to me. And yes, I do wash mine, but this is a reminder to all the listeners and is just good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash them with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for 20 seconds or more. If you don't know how long 20 seconds is, just sing along to this.
And it's bad, Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town.
Yep.
Better than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog.
Right.
Now Leroy, he a gambler.
So on this day, the 20th of March in 1973, that single, Bad Leroy Brown from Jim Croce was released. And that's why I played it today. I always think of my dad whenever I listen to Jim Croce because he had the greatest hits, the Photograph and Memories, whatever. And now I have it on vinyl and on CD and other stuff. So I will not make promises that this will be a weekly podcast, as was evident last week, nor will I promise that it will be consistent on any kind of schedule. I have missed doing it, and I've missed you guys and the response last time, people were chiming in mostly to berate me on my update about Slappy's Chicken, which I am working to actually have someone from Slappy's come on here to actually explain to you people what is going on so you can stop questioning. I'm working on it. I haven't secured that yet, but I'm working on it because I do stuff like that for you, the listener. But as like I said last time, my time isn't as open as it used to be. Plus, I need a co-host, and Steve said he's interested. We just had to work out a schedule. Be on the lookout for my blog and this podcast. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Founders and the Summit Inns, which is the Ludlow House and the Shepherd House, they are brand new. That's hard to say, really. Not brand new so much as reimagined, refurbished, reopened historic landmarks in this town. The Schaffner Inn, which is where Founders is, and the Shepherd and Ludlow House over on Summit Avenue, behind Bernardin's and 4th Street Filling Station. They are looking for help. I know I've not said that in a while either about everybody's hiring. Everybody is hiring. People need staff. There's one reason why your favorite places are closing down. But they are certainly looking for help, and I would appreciate if you would help them, help themselves, and help you. That would be great. Where was I? Oh, be on the lookout at the blog and this podcast to learn more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, please email me, Tim at theman-who-ate-the-town. You can also contact me via the Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter instant messengers. And yes, while I don't care for them, the social media, I still use them. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are man-who-ate-the-town. On Instagram, we are man-who-ate-the-town. We invite you to call and leave a voicemail for the podcast, actually any podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUM. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUM-6862. My name's Tim, and I'm closing the recipe box. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit.
Yamas.
The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.